Hello, boys and girls. My name is SidAlpha. As many of you may already know, we come together every once in a while for various different things. Some for Star Citizen news, other gaming news, sometimes for my first impressions take on video games, and general impressions on whether or not I feel the game is worth your time or worth your money. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to educate and hopefully occasionally to be able to entertain. How are you? Are you having a good night? Do you have a rough day at work? Why don't you kick your feet up, relax, grab something to drink? Trust me, you're going to need it. As we sit here and we go through some of what I consider to be the biggest bullshit in video gaming this year. That's right. Yes, we've come together once again to discuss a travesty that Electronic Arts has brought upon us all, and that is a horrifying thing in the form of Star Wars Battlefront. Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake. It is a beautiful game. The graphics are stunningly impressive. The audio scores are equally as beautiful and transcendent as you could imagine a Star Wars experience to be. However, EA, in their infinite wisdom, has decided to make this wonderful potential of a game to be one of the most pedestrian offerings you could imagine. The game is so shallow and so empty, it makes one wonder, where did all the effort go, aside from the amazing graphics and the wonderful sound, to make this game worth $60, $110 if you include the season pass for the download content that they won't even tell you what the fuck it is yet. It is a wonderful, wonderful conglomeration of shit that we've all had to suffer through together. And the suffering continues. I speak, of course, of a recent interview where an EA executive states that the game lacks depth intentionally. That's right. Oh yes, they did say it. It lacks depth intentionally. They are bringing you less and charging you the same amount, and they did it on purpose. Why? Because they have your best interests at heart. Oh yes. That's most certainly what they claim. Very recently, Electronic Arts brought us the new Star Wars IP Battlefront. I should say it's not really a new IP, more one that we've been waiting on a successor for many, many years. The most recent version, Star Wars Battlefront 2, I believe, was released during the days of the PlayStation 2. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 2 PlayStation console generations ago was the last Star Wars Battlefront that we've had. Star Wars Battlefront and Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original games, were fantastic with wonderful gameplay mechanics, very in-depth ability for people to be able to immerse themselves in the Star Wars universe, and including a story mode campaign as well. Granted, it wasn't the most impressive story mode out there, however it did exist and it didn't entirely suck. What we have now from Star Wars Battlefront EA is a very bare bones, dry, lackluster offering where the gameplay modes are shallow and unenjoyable. That's right, Star Wars Battlefront EA is an entirely horrid and wretched game, the likes of which I would not wish on someone I considered an enemy. In fact, why don't you do that, ladies and gentlemen? For those of you who have someone you really don't like, buy them Star Wars Battlefront and watch them get frustrated playing a shallow-ass game where you cannot communicate with any of the other players on your team, and it has a massive amount of microtransactions to be able to purchase to be able to have an effective and enjoyable experience. Star Wars Battlefront is a travesty on the video game industry. While yes, the overall graphics and sound quality are beyond impressive, to be honest, they are the most impressive graphics and sound that I have heard in a game ever. Ever. Quite literally ever. However, does this change the fact that the game is shallow and empty? No, it does not. It does not at all. This is a game where you are able to go into a multiplayer room with a large amount of other people and battle it out in an arena where, yes, the Empire have the upper hand and the ability to make greater inroads through the course of the map on most of the maps that you will play. In return, it is also a fighting arena where you will have no way of communicating with anyone on your team, no way to be able to coordinate or to be able to call for help if you need, or do anything that would be considered a staple of a modern first-person shooter game environment. And the reason why they do this is to be able to create a false sense of chaos. To be able to try and make it feel more natural and more like an actual war for the player by artificially creating this style of chaos. And it is not something that very many people consider good. And most people are not appreciative of this offering. Even in the very short amount of time that I've spent online, I lost count of how many people say this feels like a Call of Duty clone. And in a lot of ways, they're right. It does feel in several ways to be a reskinned Call of Duty clone, albeit a lesser offering with better graphics. So what does EA, Electronic Arts CFO Blake Jorgensen, have to say about the level of depth and intrinsic value of Star Wars Battlefront? He states, according to a GameSpot interview, Star Wars Battlefront is a first-person shooter, but it is one of the only teen-rated first-person shooters. Haha, yeah, that's right. You didn't think about that, did you? How many first-person shooters out there are rated for teens? How many of you actually give a fuck that the game is rated for teens? Alright, yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. Because when someone is offered a game like Star Wars Battlefront, it is a Star Wars IP, which means EA, Blake, I'm going to talk to you directly, buddy. Blake, come on. Now, get off your fucking high horse. Holy shit. Okay? You guys think this game is so great, and it's universally being treated by most people who care to scratch more than the surface of the game. It's being treated by most of us who are actually critique and review these games to be... It's not a good offering. It is an extremely poor offering, and I went more in depth in this in my Is It Worth It video regarding Star Wars Battlefront. But he continues on to say, an 8-year-old could play with his father on the couch, as well as a teenager or 20-year-old could play the game and enjoy it. It is more accessible, and for the hardcore, it might not have the depth that they wanted in the game. Well, guess what, jackoff? You're absolutely fucking right. And it's not just for the hardcore. Many people who wanted to see more depth, more of an enjoyable experience for their $60 or their $80 or their $110 or however much money they'll spend after racking up massive amounts of expenditures in your fucking microtransaction store, they expect a bit more out of the game. What does EA say about it? We designed it to be a much more accessible product to a wide age group. That's right, a wide age group. Okay. So we get delivered less of a game and charged the same price because you wanted to make it more accessible to a wider age group. Okay, I can understand you're wanting to make it more accessible to a wider age group, but it has been said by many, many, many critics and reviewers and many, many people on the internet in general. Okay, when you take something away, like the depth of gameplay that you took away, or the lack of single-player campaign that you took away, you have to replace it with something else. Because if you do not replace it with something else, then something is missing that is plain to see for everyone concerned. If you take something out, you have to replace it with something new, something different, something to make it worthwhile for the consumer. And that is not what you did, Blake. Okay? It's not what you did at all. What you did was you scooped out large sections of what could have been a really great game, and you turned it into a shallow shell of itself in order to be able to make it accessible to a wide age group, if your statements are to be believed. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, as a gamer with a lot of experience in dealing with the bullshit of the industry and being able to sift through all the bullshit of the interviews of executives such as yourself, let me tell you what my takeaways on this would be. My takeaways on this would be that, of course, naturally, as you are CFO, you are, of course, 100% full of shit. Yes, that's right, I said it, Blake. You're full of shit. You're attempting to defend the fact that you've scooped out large portions of this game to make your life easier, and at the same time be able to charge the same price to consumers for far less content than what they should have gotten, all the while being able to lie to your consumer and try and tell them that you did it for their benefit so you could concentrate more on this shallow, empty shell of a multiplayer that you ended up providing to them. Yes, you can try and say that you did it for our benefit, but we all know this is one of the most lazy piece of shit, planned obsolescence video game that anyone can think of. And anyone who would doubt the idea that this game has planned obsolescence, then you're just deluding yourself. Because they're already working on the sequel. They're already working on the sequel to this game before this game was even finished. Just like they do with Call of Duty or Battlefield or any of the other yearly release games, Assassin's Creed. And you know how wonderful those games are, guys. There's so much thought and effort put into them, and they charge the same price as so many other AAA titles, I put in quotation marks. They're trying to see how much they can get away with being able to offer you. What's the minimum amount we can get away with and still be able to charge you a full $60 for a AAA release, plus $50 for that season pass, plus all these microtransactions in your fucking video game that nobody asked for and nobody wants. That's right. Let's see how much we can milk the cow before dust starts coming out. Because that is what so many games developers are turning into. Milk it for all it's worth until it's dried up, and then move on to the next thing. Not caring whatsoever for how badly they fuck everything up in the meantime. So I am here to tell you, boys and girls, EA, especially EA, Blake Jorgensen, and every one of your ilk, that despite all these mediocre offerings that you are putting out, there is one thing that will remain a constant. That myself and others like me will still be out here, still waiting, still watching, still willing to protect the consumer and their rights and their pocketbooks. Because that's what we do. That is what a YouTuber channel like mine is all about. That's what I do. I sit here in front of a camera wearing a PC Master Race t-shirt that was gifted to me by a very dear friend of mine in celebration of my PC YouTube channel and my desire to protect the consumers and their rights and their wallets against individuals like yourself. That is what I'm here to do. That's what I will continue to do. And people will listen. People will be more willing to listen to me than they will be to listen to you. You know why? Because you are trying to take from them. I am trying to stop you. That's the difference. And let me tell you, it makes all the difference in the world. So here I am, drawing a line in the sand, just like so many other critics and reviewers out there, telling everyone this game is a piece of shit. If you have not purchased it already, do not do so. Save yourself. You will be the better for it. Go and buy any other game. You will be happier. Don't buy Star Wars Battlefront. Go buy Battlefield 4 instead. The graphics might not be quite as good, but they'll still be really good. And the gameplay will be a lot more enjoyable. And the amount of content the game has is a lot more. And guess what? You'll pay the same fucking amount of money. Just saying, EA. Just saying. You want to win hearts and minds, you've got to do better than this. You've got to do better than this. This was pathetic. And that's all I have to say. So please, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, favorite, do all the things. And if, don't forget to share it with all your friends. And if you don't like it, if you didn't like this video, then please, by all means, like, subscribe, share with all of your enemies. That's right. If you didn't like this video, don't forget to share it to someone else so I can make their fucking ears bleed for a little while, because few things please me more than being able to severely piss off someone who probably deserves it. It's the greatest gift, really. It really is. Either way, thanks again for watching, guys. My name is SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time. Hey folks, SidAlpha here. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. If you want to check out some other First Impressions videos, feel free to click on the link on the left. If you're interested in staying more up to date with what's happening in the PC gaming community, feel free to click on the link to your right. The subscribe button is down at the bottom. Please show your support and punch that evil thing as hard as you can. And once again, thanks for watching. I appreciate it.